Hey y'all. Welcome back to Daring Discussions, the podcast where we keep it real, raw, and righteous. As always, it's me, your girl, Brittany Broaddus-Smith, the #1 Christian sexologist and your favorite girlfriend. Ladies, how y'all doing? Fellas, y'all all right? Yeah. Anyway, we ain't gonna do all of that. Get right into it. You already know this season is sex and we have talked about sex and fatherhood, sex and research, and what good sex really is, sex and money, sex and attachment style, sex and salvation, baby. And this episode, we're having the conversation. You know, it's zero discussion, so we always have the conversations that people need to have. But this one, we really go. Okay, this is sex and living with HIV. Yep, you heard me right. I said it, and I'm not even going to give y'all no caveats. Prepare, clutch your pearls, grab your notes, whatever you need to do. I am so honored and humbled that our guest today said yes when I shot my shot. Miss Lydia Joyce. Y'all know I believe in Black women giving themselves their flowers, so I'm not even going to do too much of this right here. I'm going to just bring her on and let her tell you why she's so dope. Okay.
You a whole mess. A mess.
Hey,
A
girl.
mess. Hey, friend. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm holding on. Yeah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
So please tell the people who you are, what you do, and why you are uniquely equipped to have this conversation with you.
Oh, God, because, it's going to be a conversation. It's going to be had, for lack of better words. Like she said, my name is Lydia Joyce. I am by day a director of marketing communications. By midday, I'm an HIV positive. I like to say an influencer, activist, advocate, speaker, teacher, writer, lover of all things God, Black folks, Black women. And as you heard me correctly, someone who has been thriving with an HIV diagnosis going on, Jesus, it doesn't seem like 8 years now. So yes, 8 years. Eight years. Because I think I came across your platform shortly after I was diagnosed. It does not seem like it's that long. Brittany, I just had the realization saying it out loud because it was 8 years in September. Wow. Okay. But no, 8 years. And I am someone who has an MBA in marketing. So the work that I do usually is at the intersection of my lived experience as a Black Southern woman, on top of that, living with an HIV diagnosis, someone who's been in marketing since I was 19. So been in marketing for 25 plus years, an MBA for 14 years. And the last, it would be my expertise. So a lot of the work that I do is surrounding around messaging when it comes to sex, HIV, reproductive and sexual justice, as well as reproductive and sexual health. So outside of showing up in this world as a bomb Black girl, period, because just showing up as a Black woman is bomb, period. All those caveats add to my dopeness and my well-roundedness, and it adds color to how I show up in this world. You said why I was dope. So yeah, hopefully I covered it.
Okay. Did you catch that? Did you catch all of that? The resume, the receipts, the joy of it all? Okay.
Right. Because that ain't even all of it, but we just gonna stop there.
Okay. I'm just gonna get let them wet their whistle for a bit. Okay. All right. You know, our favorite segment of this show is As for Me and My House, honey. Our listener submitted questions, and I love that this season we're able to have them tailored specifically to the people that we have on the thing. One, and this was interesting because one of the questions in my sexual possibilities inventory that I created for Christian women, one of the questions that they answer is how they feel about partnering with someone who has a long-term diagnosis, whether chronic illness or a STD or something like that. And I always, when we get to that question, there's always interesting conversations that come up. There's always conversations, particularly when I say there could be a necessity to navigate an STD in a couple or in a marriage that has nothing to do with infidelity. And people are like,
Oh my God. Oh God.
They don't get it. They don't get it.
Right.
But so this question is interesting. So she
Okay.
says, "Hey, girlfriend. Hi. Okay. I recently matched with someone on Hinge who noted in their bio that they were HIV positive. I didn't notice it until after the fact, but I really enjoyed them. They've been open since then about their status. I've done my own research, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't still a little nervous. I want to make sure I'm educated and making informed decisions, but I also don't want to let fear get in the way of a good thing. How do I navigate this in a way that's responsible, but also honors their humanity and the connection that we're building?"
Can we say first and foremost, sis, that's one of the most emotionally sound, emotionally intelligent, thoughtful, heartfelt messages. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm saying, I think you said a she. So she did her homework and even worded it that way. And so I am grateful that she has a heart of compassion and noted his humanity, because that's what something that we lose, especially after being diagnosed. As for me and my house, I would say you started a great leap into the work that needs to be done at dating someone who's HIV positive. You've done your research. Fear is one of those things that we always deal with when it comes to the uncertainty or the unknown. I almost feel like she answered her question when she asked the question. Like,
Right.
what are you asking? Sis, like, you did your research, you enjoyed him, you're mindful of his humanity, you are fearful. I would say one of the steps could be having a conversation with him, because I didn't hear that in her question. Like having a conversation, like, I would say, what does, engaging in, sexual or non-sexual intimate contact look like with you? I know that's one of those things, even navigating that in dating. Like when you have someone who's interested in you, irrespective of your diagnosis, they lean in. It's like, okay, what does this look like? Brothers may not always put it so eloquently, but the heart and the essence of the question is, what does this look like? And I would encourage you to ask him, with the same energy, with the same heart, with the same compassion and the heart-centeredness that you wrote this question. What does this look like sexually and non-sexual intimate contact look like with someone who's been diagnosed? Wording it that way will show your compassion. It will, honor where he is now with his diagnosis. It lets him know that you're interested, because we ain't thinking through them type of questions if, we ain't got some type of interest, right? And then it allows him to, almost be a leader, for like, and I hate to use that word, but like, be a leader or take the reins and helping you navigate, because not only does he get to walk through what does this look like for you to, engaging in that as someone who is HIV positive, it also gives you both an, opportunity to just talk through pleasure, talk through intimacy, irrespective of statuses. So that would be first steps. Have a conversation with him. Ask him, what does this look like? And then, be really keen in taking in the notes, listening and having dialogue. Because it ain't gonna be him just, having it's not a monologue, it's not a soliloquy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a conversation, it's a dialogue. So when you're talking, talk back, affirm, ask questions, because that's how you ease the angst that you're feeling around this particular subject. So that would be, it's for me and my pals, that would be first steps. But I'm so sorry, that was so ghetto.
Child, Bruce be all in the episode. It's fine. It's fine.
No, but that would be my first.
No, the girlfriends know how we get down here. This is why it's real, raw, and right.
I was like, oh my gosh. But no, that would be my first steps, and that's what I would do. But I thank her, like whoever she is, thank you for being mindful, because you didn't, you just didn't just ghost, because that's something yet manageable, even with an HIV diagnosis.
Yeah. And I appreciate, I was intrigued by he had it listed in his bio. Like that's interesting. Like it cuts to, like, we ain't even gotta dance around or who, what, when, where. It's here. So if you match with me, then you already know what's up. So yeah, so the awkwardness, at least from my point of view, and I've seen that. I did it. I had audited Hinge for a little bit for my clients, because I had a lot of clients that were beginning to like step their foot into online dating or like stuff like that. And I'm like, I can't help you through if I don't know what's going on over there. So I made me a little account, was going over there and see what was what. And I saw like, that's not necessarily that uncommon. Like folks saying their HIV diagnosis, HSV, like the herpes diagnosis already in the thing. And it's like, this is what it is. If that's going to be a problem, keep on scrolling. Like we don't even need to do this. What do you think about that? About like just laying it out there straight like that? What do you think?
I breadcrumb. Like I breadcrumb in my profiles. I don't say it, outright, because again, there is a sense of privilege when you are navigating this life as a man. You know what I'm saying? That we don't necessarily have as a woman, especially if we talk about Black cis-het people navigating HIV. Black women are just always stereotyped as either, and I can say this, and y'all, this is not my perspective. This is just me, a real, raw, honest, genuine. That it's always associated being a crack whore. You know what I'm saying? They don't realize that if we look at the stats, most Black women get HIV through heterosexual sexual contact. I believe less than 5% of Black women get HIV through intravenous drug use. When you look at white women, it's the converse. Mostly is through IV drug use, and the smaller percentage is through heterosexual sexual contact. So as that caveat and backdrop, I breadcrumb. Because now with dating profiles, you can add your Instagram, and you follow me on Instagram. So, it's times, I have my ebbs and flows with how I show up. But if you go to Instagram, if you scroll not even long enough, you just hit 19. If you just change the 9 square to 12, you'll see. And so I breadcrumb that way. And I also think at one point in time, I'll put down there, Google me, because you can just type in my first name. Yeah. And stuff, it'll start coming up. And I think that does ease the angst and the, like you said, the awkwardness. It flattens it, you know what I'm saying? Because like after you Google me, after you've done that and you're still here, then at that point, it gives me the opportunity to allow you to have that conversation on your own terms. Because doing it once before, my previous ex, he was like, I read it. And he was like, first I was like, that is, he was like, that's really, really dope. Like the work that you do is dope. But he was just like, the way you did, I was like, you got to have a little finesse with, you know what I'm saying? Google me, baby, because she that girl, right? But it also, you're right. And it gives you insight that a different perspective. So that's how I do it. So, do with that how you need to. I also think it kind of brings up the conversation very early about, all right, mine, what's yours, baby? Let's talk status. Let's talk testing. It's a door opener. Like, you want to have a conversation started. Don't hit me with how you doing. Hey, I Googled you. And and the conversation jumps. It quantum leaps quickly, because now we're having quality conversation. Now you're really beginning to know about me, and I'm really getting to know about you, because at this point, it ain't what's your favorite color and the last time you traveled. It's okay, tell me about that. And in that conversation, you get to see, you get to know a person's quality. I understand if you're a compassionate man. Like that opens it up. So I think it's dope to put in profile. I got, again, I breadcrumb, but the quality of conversation, because at the time for me, it allows me to see the heart of a man. Like, are you a compassionate? Do you extend? Because one of the questions I ask is, do you extend grace and compassion before I disclose? Because if you don't extend grace and compassion, baby, we all got something in our closet. Mine may just be this diagnosis. Yours may be unhealed, mother issues that show up in an abusive way that impact folks greater than my diagnosis will ever will. But okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry, Brittany.
All right. That is really good. And that we love dairy discussions and having those conversations that matter, right? Like I think there's a lot of words being exchanged between people, but nobody's really communicating anything. Y'all just okay. And I can see both ways. I likely would, while this does not compare, it's similar to how listen, I'm abstinent and I'm not having no kids. What do you think?
Where you falling at? Yes.
Okay. And so we don't even have to have a conversation. If you're like, I need a little slugger, I'm trying to build a legacy through all these kids. If you're not trying to be a stepdaddy, we have nothing to talk about.
Right.
If you expect to be hunching and punching out the gate, we also have nothing to talk about.
Right.
And so I can see the putting it in the profile, like how it's just like, listen, you read this, sit with this as you need to, make your decision, respond accordingly. And if you respond accordingly, then I already know, or I'm going to assume, or have the right to assume
you're on
that
board.
you know what it is and you're on board, right? But I also appreciate really the self-control of the breadcrumb approach, because it also is like it leaves space for people to make informed decisions, right? Like when you lay it out there flat, then people may possibly make knee-jerk decisions. But when you do it like you said, like, and it also shows or creates the space for you to be able to determine level of interest. Because like you said, if you go from my profile to my Instagram to Googling me, you go, so you're really trying to see what's up with me, maybe. That's the thought. It's a sound thought that you're like, okay. And so that is a different level of, I guess, even personality of, like you said, the heart of a man. Like, what are you're intentional. Yes. Is what I would take from something like that. But the way my nerves is set up and the way I just don't have time, tell me now. But that's a trauma response. I know that is a trauma response. Go ahead and tell me you hate me so I can move on.
Stop.
We're working on. Listen, one thing, sis, is self-aware. I am well aware that my insecurities be like, tell me now. But then I know that it also doesn't, because like with children, for example, like I would not want someone to fall for me and then settle for not having children because they love me so much. Right. You know what I'm saying? I want you to come here fully aware that either you don't want no more, or if you have them, you have them. If you don't, you don't, type of situation. I don't want anybody to change their values for me. But I also know that good love is transformative. And there have been instances where things that I thought were the biggest of deals
turned out to be not to be a big deal at all, huh?
Turned out not to be that big. Things I thought wasn't that deep actually meant the world to me. And so I love your approach on, like I said, the self-control, the maturity, and almost even just like the peace of it. Like I'm not hiding anything, but also some of this ain't your business, because I'm not gonna, if you don't mean well for me and I don't know your heart, or if you can extend grace and all, I'm not giving you information that you ain't good in the mind to be able to manage well.
That's me.
So go ahead.
It goes back to that vulnerability versus transparency piece. I tell people I'm transparent on how I show up. I'm vulnerable people I'm in an intimate relationship with. So everyone does not deserve my vulnerability. You get this transparency.
That's good. Say that again. Break that down again. Don't
break that down. Okay. I live with a philosophy and like the thought process that transparency, I can give that to anybody. You know, the vulnerability is reserved for people I'm in an intimate relationship with, and not just intimacy as like, you know, like physical contact, intimate like my mother, intimate like the best friends, my executive. I have my, you know, my own executive board, you know, for my life. You know, intimacy is like, you know, relationship, sister sorors, like that's the vulnerability I give them. Transparency, that ain't, you know, that's everybody can get it. Vulnerability is not for everybody, and that allows me to navigate being transparent versus vulnerable, because even when you are someone navigating the HIV diagnosis, people automatically have this thought process that they are deserving of your vulnerability.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's so good. That is so good. And I think that I might likely in my life move the same way, but never named it that. So I thank you for that language, because in this, like in the work that we do and like the business and social media pocket, like there's a level of transparency that's like, if you're not going to be transparent, what you doing it for? Like, why are you here? Because if you're going to be speaking in code and talking in secrets, and now granted, everything ain't for everybody. But if if every conversation with you is a brain teaser, baby, go do something else.
We talking jargon.
I'm not trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. Okay. I'm trying to talk. Okay. Like nobody has time for that. But the vulnerability piece has to be done responsibly.
Yes.
And like I said, and that's the opposite of how I said sometimes I know I approach it is like I almost like I dump it all out. Like I'm a bear it all so that I can see whether you really want to deal or not. But I know, if I'm being honest, that is a response to growing up in a what happens in this house stays in this house kind of household. And we know that the secrets that was kept, how damaging they could be. And that's why I don't do sex anymore. I just can't. I can't. My brain can't take it. But growth looks like the ability to be transparent and the wisdom to discern what is for who and when is for that person. You know what I'm saying? Like the timing of it all. And I love. And then when you in love with somebody, or even if you think you love, you're infatuated with them because they look good and they smell good and they're talking to you right and all of this, then you get the right. And you ain't even met them all the way yet. So I appreciate that approach. Okay, let's get into a little bit of the science and the language, right?
Okay.
We are in a world right now where I think we're doing a great job, or at least a much better job, at putting the conversation of what it means to live and thrive with HIV in the front. We have organizations like the CDC and Gilead and all of these other orgs that are like, and ViiV, like really out there, like saying the things all over Hulu, and you can't go past the Hulu or any other type of commercial without a pep
doxy type,
all of the things, right? So and then this U equals U, like all of those things. So like let's talk about it. Like first and foremost, for people who don't know, what is HIV? What is HIV? Is that's not AIDS? Is that what Magic Johnson? Like
what is okay?
We don't put the cart before the horse a little bit. Let's take it back. What are we talking about?
We're going to HIV 101 at this point.
I'm
about to say HIV, human immunodeficiency syndrome, right? Yes, it's a virus,
right?
And it's a very bare bones of the virus. To differentiate between HIV and AIDS, HIV is a virus. AIDS is a condition of your virus. So meaning in some scientific settings, some journals, AIDS can be defined as like stage 3 or stage 4 HIV, meaning, your CD4 count has dropped below a certain, a certain number. And for that number, I think right now it's below 200. Your CD4 are the healthy cells, and the fighter, you're the warrior, the little warrior cells in your body that fight off viruses and boost your immune system. When that drops below 200, there is a sign, I believe, of an opportunistic infection or disease. So it could be like, pneumonia. It could be some people, have cancer. If it's something that's in your body and your CD4 count is before 200, if it's been consistent, then at that point, your HIV has now reached a condition of AIDS. AIDS and HIV are not the same. Actually, I hate to see HIV/AIDS. It's HIV and AIDS. You don't catch AIDS. And I hate to hear that. It's just like, oh, he got AIDS. No, he did not get AIDS. He contracted HIV. The condition led to AIDS, right? So that would be like a quick breakdown, like, that's supposed to, she does not have AIDS. When someone is diagnosed, they are diagnosed with HIV because that virus is present in your body. One thing I hate a lot of times is that people forget that it is contracted sexually or through vertical transmission from a mother. We have occupational people, occupational hazards where people have contracted HIV, and but it's not something that affects our sexual organs. It impacts our immune system. And I think that's another caveat people forget, because it's just like, oh, no, baby, sexual organs still work. Okay. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. Okay. Yay, God. But it's the immune system that gets compromised and impacted because of the volatileness of the virus and what it does when it gets into our bloodstreams and into our body. So that's like HIV real quick 101. Please stop saying HIV and AIDS. There's no such thing as full-blown AIDS. That's stigmatizing.
Honey, the people love full blown AIDS.
And
They love saying it. Oh God, and he had full blown. No, he don't got HIV. He got full blown AIDS. Like, and I think it's like not excusing the behavior, but the thing is so common, and there's not. Again, as we're improving in the messaging, I believe we'll eventually grow to the place where that'll stop. But there's so many more conversations where that is said, and it's not. There's no sound voice there to challenge it,
and that's
the difficult part. So, what does it mean to have an undetectable viral load? Because we know that to date that there is no cure for HIV
that they haven't released.
Okay,
allegedly, right?
Okay. Because can we talk about it?
And what you want to talk about? I mean,
cancer too. And while we're at it, because you don't want to say cure, because it's this. Because there's too much money here,
baby.
We need, because we can get to the point where we don't see it in the blood.
Come on,
on the test, it ain't in there. We get to the point where you and your boo can do whatsoever that you choose
without a condom.
Nothing's going to happen. You can get it to the point where I can take it before I've ever even exposed and never ever get it. But there's no cure.
Something in the milk ain't clear.
Okay. Dead cat on the line somewhere, honey. But anyway.
However, the good lady asks, the good woman of God asks, what does it mean to be undetectable? Because baby, the cost of this medication, okay? Undetectable means untransmittable. What does it mean to be undetectable? That means that your viral load has gotten to a point where it's not detectable by, I think and I'm not trying to get all scientific, but the antigens are below a certain point. If I'm thinking correctly, is it less than 40 or 20? Less than 20. That means less than 20 copies of HIV virus is in your bloodstream. And in layman's terms, it means that you've taken your medicine consistently, you've been adhering to your drug regimen in such a way that the virus is not replicating in your body. If you're not familiar with the pathology of the HIV virus, what it does, it literally goes into, and this is going back to like 8th grade science, it goes into the powerhouse, the mitochondrial level of your cells, and it takes over.
Women in STEM. Okay.
And it takes over the RNA, and what it does at that point is that it starts to replicate. So instead of replicating the good genes and the good fighter cells, it's now replicating the virus in your body. That virus now is like unleashed a war inside your body, and it's putting up a fight. And at that time, that's when people, experience great fatigue. You see the rise of opportunistic diseases and things of that nature, and you're extremely weak, tired, because your body is doing a fight that it has never fought before. So when you're undetectable, that fight is not going on. It's almost like a ceasefire, for lack of better words, because the medication is going in. It has here we go, being scientific again, is isolated the powerhouse of the mitochondria to keep it in a dormant phase, so it's no longer replicating. So at that point, I become undetectable. Usually with consistent drug adherence, you can get there between within the first 90 days of being of contracting HIV. At that point, you are no longer able, you're undetectable means untransmittable, which means that you're not able to transmit the virus via condomless sex. And I say condomless versus protected because we don't use that word.
Okay. So you can contract HIV, or it can be, like you said, through sex. Through the sharing of certain fluids from a mother to a child, like you said, occupational hazard, all the things. So you could be running amok, but you also could just be living your regular everyday life, and unbeknownst to you, right? There is tons of medication. There's issue with access from time to time, but the medication exists. And if I heard you correctly, in as little as 90 days, the viral load can be under control to get you from diagnosis to undetectable.
Yes.
Right? Why is so much stigma then?
Girl, because you know how we talk about HIV? That's the package. You know? And I also too think because the medication was such garbage in the 80s and the 90s, you saw what AZT did to people who were diagnosed. You saw the wasting away, as it was called, even on medications, even with people taking upwards of 14 to 20 pills a day, to manage this, you know what I'm saying? And you still saw the wasting away because the medicine had not reached the scientific, advancements that it has now. Even for those of us who take one pill a day, that one pill can have upwards of 3, 4, 5 drugs in it. So it's a compound. And I'm not, dismissing the experience of others, but sometimes that stuff can be as strong as a chemo and a pill. You know what I'm saying? Because it is compounds upon compounds of medication that's used to make this one pill. I believe the stigma comes in because it's rooted in how we're socialized to sex, especially, in the church. We are socialized to sex in such a way that's not educated. It's not deep. It's not steeped in even scientific knowledge. We are taught the spiritual, like not even taught spiritualness. It's like we're taught, what's the word? The legalisms, there we go, around sex, but we're not taught the scientific and the naturals of sex. Like we don't have a good solid foundation. So because we're not socialized sex in a healthy way, there we go, in a healthy way, anything that may be the byproduct of sex, we still carry over those negative like ideologies or that negative teaching or the ignorance or miseducation into how we learn about things that can happen as a result of sex. So I believe a lot of the stigma is steeped in that. It's also steeped in people believing that it is a gay man's disease, or you had to be a crack whore to get it, because even in my life and how I show up, I have to remind people loudly, boldly, consistently, I am not your cautionary tale. Please don't pull up my page and find, try to be like, well, Adia did this, and the third, and I did this, and this, because I did the fourth thing, I won't get it. You know what I'm saying? So good, I'm not doing what she did. But at the time of diagnosis, I was 36 years old. I was good in my stride, of career. I was island hopping, buying villas. We was on planes, buying cars, cash, looking at property, working at, one of the Fortune 500, like a company that's nation international wide. Corporate, corporate. I was a corporate girl, sorority girl, junior league, bop. Out here with my Zetas, this and third. Like I'm in my stride. It's 36 years old. You know what I'm saying? He had a good job. You know what I'm saying? Went to an esteemed school. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, no, it's not what you think. And I think because we view HIV the way we do, it's unfortunate. I don't even know how we fight stigma because it's so deep. And people still don't know like HIV 101 that we just went through. I can't give this to you by hugging you, by kissing you, by holding a baby, by eating behind you. But there's so many people, even in 2015, even in 2016, when I was diagnosed, who still believe that that's how this is transmitted. Baby, if that was how you got it, everybody will have it. Okay.
I was thinking about, I remember very vividly this episode of Girlfriends, where you remember the episode when their friend came in from outside, they hadn't seen her in a while, and she had disclosed her diagnosis to them, and everybody got over the initial shock, and they was kicking it in the kitchen, everything was fine. She was working with a knife on a cutting board, and she cut herself, and everybody jumped back. Like it was like a big to do, and Joan is very and like threw the knife
at the end of the episode.
She was like, it's okay. We just wash it. Everything is okay. And they act like it was okay, but at the end, Joan still wound up throwing that knife in the trash. So you mentioned a couple things like you can't get it by hugging or sharing a cup or like sharing a drink, stuff like that. What are some other myths about contracting the virus that you think is out there that folk would benefit folks if they knew?
Girl, I don't even know because it's so asinine and ignorant at times because like a previous best friend mother poured bleach on me, you know what I'm saying? Because I washed my hands in the sink. Yeah, baby, I got stories. I have another previous friend whose husband time wouldn't let me hold
And
a
you
baby.
ain't go to jail?
I had to respect my elders, but I got with her later. Yeah, baby. Oh, that came to a head.
Bleach. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
And this was again in like, baby, we talking about in the 2020s, okay?
Now, mother. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You know, and that was I was washing in mid washing and I just felt bleach get poured all over my hands. So yes. And so when you think about 2020-ish, maybe 2021, yes.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about that, you'd be like the myths that you hear are rooted in the contact. There is like kissing, holding, hugging, breathing. Make sure when they leave, you know, because I heard make sure when she leave, you wipe down everything with bleach. You know, make sure you have, you know, a separate set of dishes when she comes over. You know, what glass does she drink out of? Because I don't want to drink out of that glass after she, you know, one of those things. Because dear gonna drink out of glass, don't give me nothing plastic. You know, I can't stand plasticware. I'm my mother's child. But you know, what glass does she eat out of? What real plate does she eat out of? I don't want to eat out of that one. So when you think about the myths that we talk about, it's all rooted in touch. It's I never heard anything outside of touch bases. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, when you think about like some of the like ideologies of how it is contracted, you know, our cishet men need help. You know what I'm saying? And for people who are listening, that cisgender heterosexual, you know, Black man particularly, because they feel like, oh, I can't give it because I penetrate, and you just like,
wow,
sir, you don't understand that because you penetrate, you are the one who pulls out and care, like you care. Yeah, science and anonymously speaking.
yeah, and you know, it's so. I love this conversation and conversations like that I had. We did an episode before this on sex and menopause.
Mm-hmm.
And when you begin to really get into it with like experts or people, you know, like you who walk that both lines were expert personally and professionally,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like we have been left out of a lot of conversations. And the crazy part about it is we are left out of the conversations on topics in which we make up the majority prevalence.
Yes. Like, no, we need you to be leaned in because this is impacting you.
Okay. And if not you specifically, somebody you know. Okay. Somebody you know, somebody you gonna know, somebody you're raising, huh? Because the way the 13 to 16-year-olds
girl
are contracting HIV at an alarming rate. And we got to keep the main thing. And we so focused, as you said, on LGBTQ communities and things like that, and folks who are, you know, who have like more street-based lifestyles and stuff like that. Yes. It's like it ain't it, and really that's where, you know, we don't need to get too far down this rabbit hole, but
right,
that's where how the download situation reached the peak that it is, because y'all want to keep thinking that it ain't what it is.
True, that's because
okay, all right, agree. We're gonna touch and agree, and then we're going. Okay,
we're gonna make it
with that in mind.
Yes, yeah, okay, keep going.
I know. Yeah. But something that just struck me though when you said it, a lot of the stigma, a lot of the myths are touch based, and I can imagine when you think about just humanity and our literal innate yearning and need to be touched, right? Like our touch hunger, our skin hunger, and folks who already lived in our society having this particular. I mean, not that anybody is going to just like take an HIV diagnosis and be like, oh, Oh well, but there's certain, if you live a certain risk-based lifestyle, maybe it didn't catch you by surprise. Maybe. But for some who did it right and you know, and have this experience, that's already trying enough. Like my world is just shifted completely, right? And that's an impact on your mental health. But then the isolation, because of the unnecessary isolation, because of misunderstanding, miseducation, lack of information, it's even more so. Like, help someone listening who may have gotten a diagnosis recently, or know someone who is like, what is the impact on the mental health, and how does one navigate those feelings?
The impact on mental health, I tell people, external stigma can be loud. Internal stigma be turned up on a whole nother level.
Oh, baby.
And when I say internal stigma, it's like, okay, you hear, we say about folks who've been diagnosed, or, navigating HIV, you hear all that. And now you have your inner critic and your inner coach tearing you up on the inside, because you going back and forth like a tennis match. Like, you don't know who to listen to, because it's just like, especially if you're someone who's faith-based, I could do all things through Christ, let there be a performance of things because she believed, and God is with her, she will not fail. And then you got the other powers, like we're in the Bible, they talk about HIV. Like, now you're a leopard, because see how they treat the leopards. And then how you gonna navigate, because now not only are you single, you getting older, you got HIV, you got no baby. Like it's that internal, you know what I'm saying? That when they gonna find out, that they want to still be around. I went through a whole year where I kept saying, that HIV stole my mojo, because lady, I date well. And that whole year I kept saying it, I did not date well. But then I had to realize, I'm saying, I'm not only am I thinking it, now I'm repeating it. And I'm now becoming the self-fulfilled prophecy, because I spoke those things, spoke those things that be not as though they were. Baby, I spoke, it was not. And it became.
It wasn't in faith. It was.
It was rooted in fear. So
everybody. Wow.
I started learning the real converse of those biblical, those principles. I was starting to see the opposite. I was like, let's do this not in the converse. Let's do this in the positive, because it really showing it is working over here. But the impact is going to be great. Like, I'm not even going to hold you. I'm not going to hold you, because even at the beginning of this conversation, I sat there and said 8 years, baby. If Brittany wasn't here, baby, I probably would have wallowed to the floor, because even I sometimes at 8 years in forget that I'm positive.
Wow.
It's still sometimes I could be in a car and be like, you really HIV positive? Like, it be them type of conversations. You like, good. And it can happen it happens at the most randomness of times. Yes, you get the reminder when you take your medication, but sometimes, baby, you could be in a random groove and you be like, you HIV positive. You be like, I don't believe it. Oh crap, I don't forgot. Oh man. Like, and then you go through that whole, how do we get here? So it's one of those things that, baby, therapy is necessary. I was diagnosed September 29, 2016. Baby, within 4 weeks, I had found a therapist, because at that point, I just knew that my mind is a battleground, baby. And in order to get through this, I needed something. We're going to get to the doctor. Yeah, I got my medication, but who was going to be able to help me navigate this in such a way that I have the skills, the language, and the knowledge, you know what I'm saying, to be able to do this in such a way where I'm healthy. My whole thing was be healthy, happy, and whole. And I knew I wasn't dying like this, because this ain't what God said. This wasn't Jeremiah 29:11. I was just like, no. This wasn't a performance, because you know what I'm saying? So it got to be to that point, because it's almost, I tell people now, this is my ex, because we had them conversation. I said, baby, it's an ING. It's not an ED. When I get to an ED, I'm dead. I'm not healed. I am healing, because I'm constantly being, reforming of my mind. So I'm evolving. I'm changing. So at every point, there is going to be a healing that takes place. And that knowledge allowed me to be like, nah, baby, I used to have a hashtag, Jesus and my therapist saved my life. It was a both and. It was that Bible on one side, it was that journal on the other. You know what I'm saying? It was, yeah, I need to pray and yeah, I need to fast, but at the same time, nigga, did you go outside? I'm sorry. That's how I talk. When you go outside and put your feet on the ground, did you go ground today? Did you go touch some grass? Did you go
get you some vitamin D? Like, go outside.
Take a blanket, take a coloring book and your puppy, go sit on the river and breathe. Turn your phone off. It was a both and at that point, because when you realize how your health, especially as someone who's navigating an illness that impacts your immune system, baby, I can't take stress in because it's going to have a direct correlation to how my immune system shows up. So I can't take, baby, my mental health is literally saving my life. So it became a priority, and you should not be ashamed about it. I had to give folks real right, like, hey, love y'all. Yeah. But in this season, baby, it's about me. I can't pour out like I used to. So I need to be either poured into or you're going to have to slide to the side. But to think that this is not going to have an impact on your life, that a therapist is not necessary, you're lying to yourself. Babe, I had my therapist lined up before I had my care team, because in order to be able to be adherent to a drug, I needed my therapist to help me understand that this was a diagnosis I'm going to live with for the rest of my life. Right? You know, you give me, girl, I got my medication. It took me a month to start using because the realization of me being diagnosed hit the minute I started taking that medicine. You look at that little white bottle and you just like, girl, sis, this is the realization. We've come here.
Yeah, my God.
I don't care. My mind had to be transferred with the renewal. I had to get renewed that this was my new normal. So now that's a long answer. Sorry.
No, that's good. Because here's the thing, with the renewing of your mind and all of those things, you were still able to let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus, because you needed that to be able to keep pushing. You need to be able to say that what he put you on this earth to do, what he purposed you to do, your diagnosis was factored into it. He didn't that didn't catch him by surprise, right? And a lot of times we go through things in life, like big, almost seemingly life-altering things, but it's only life-altering to us because we weren't aware of it. We didn't know it was coming.
We get that memo.
But, yeah, but you know, and it's hard to think, because like, God, you could have picked something else. But all things work together for good. We all of them, right? And his purpose and the work that you are called to do, the way you show up for, you know, other women, like just the encouragement that people are going to get from even watching this. They may never have a HIV diagnosis, but they come up against something that's like, I can do this. I can keep going. And I can, not only am I important enough to do what I need to do to take care of myself, do what I need to do to manage my mental health, but I'm also still going to dream. I'm also still going to have standards. I don't think for a second you finna come this way any old kind of way, because of what, I don't care what my charts say. What's up?
Period. No.
No, thank you. Can I get your no? Actually, yeah, I can still say no. Like what?
Don't tell me that. Don't. No. I'm supposed to take whatever, sis. You didn't know.
Okay, and I don't care what you got going on in your life. 14 kids, 17 divorces, a diagnosis, ain't been past the 8th grade. I don't care what you got going on in your life. Don't let nobody come to you any old kind of way, carry you any kind of way. If the God of the universe, the great and mighty, the great I am, the lily of the valley, okay, the bright and morning
star.
Okay, he, the one who calms the winds with his waves, he spoke it and it was. Okay, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the name above all names, the name by which demons flee. Okay, mountains move.
I'm just saying,
people are healed. The dead is raised. If that's one right there looked at you and saw all he had made and said that it was very good, if that one right there said, I know the plans that I have towards you, if that one right there said, his burden is easy and his yoke is light. If that one right there to say he will give you a garment of praise for the cloak of heaviness, if that one right there said that the wealth of the riches is stored up for the righteous, okay. If that one right there looked at you and called you friend, okay, how dare you let anybody else come with anything less than the best
and tell you otherwise?
The devil is a liar.
A bold face. Bold face. But no.
And that's that on that. So last couple of questions. What we talked about faith, we talked about mental health, we talked about just basic understanding of this, we talked about language. What would you say, what would you recommend to those who are in community with someone with a diagnosis? How do they show up as allies, as support, as friends? Like what does support look like? What does community look like for someone with a diagnosis?
I said this earlier this month on a panel. I would say continued support. I would say leaning in, being mindful, because a lot of times for the person who's in community, me sharing my diagnosis is a one-time event, right? But I'm continuing living with it. So you've accepted it. You got the diagnosis. My friend shared it. Oh my gosh, I'm there for her. But do you go check in a couple of years later? How, you know what I'm saying? How are you being mindful that her tired ain't your tired? His tired is not your tired, right? Are you being mindful that now they're aging with this diagnosis? Showing up to me in community is just being more leaned in and more mindful. It's just personal examples would be my sick ain't your sick. So you get sick over the weekend, you good. My sick may be 14 days long. So when you say, friend, you need anything, or how are you? Oh, you still sick? Excuse me for having a compromised immune system. Right. It's not to the point that you're sacrificing yourself, because never that. But it's more so like, I like to tell people, it's not saying, tell me if you need anything. It's actively asking, how can I support you right now? Because I'm the friend. I don't be like, tell me, how can I support you? And then if you don't answer, and if you don't answer too quickly, I'm just going, I know,
I'm gonna do what I think, and if that ain't it, then we'll figure it out. And so I'm coming past your house today. If you don't feel like being bothered, it's fine. But what can I leave on your porch? That's do. Don't just offer. Do. Don't just offer it to.
And in the beginning, it's a lot of just doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, I ain't okay, sis. It's been 4 days since I've heard from you. Put some clothes on.
Yeah.
Like it got to the point at the initial diagnosis, because I'm fatigued. They just popped up. I was like, put a robe on, because we know you sit in the house and you don't like to have on clothes, but put some clothes on. And they would just come in and wash clothes, clean, sit with. Yeah. Hey, girl, Insecure about to come on. All right, what you want, wings or burger? It wasn't, I didn't have a choice.
Right.
And you look up and it's 4 girls on your porch, and don't let one of them have a key. You're like, oh, hey, we finna watch, Insecure.
Yeah.
Come on. And it's looking like that. And you're doing it in such a way where it's being so active, because love is demonstrative. Love is an action word. And so that's how you can support. It's not smothering, but if you notice a pivot or a change in behavior, or you notice a change in the speech, it's affirming, it's pouring into, it's making sure that you have a cup that's overflowing, so you can then share that overflow with your friend, because you're not supposed to pour from your cup. It's making sure that you are in position just to, especially if they want the strong friend, if they've been the strong friend, if they've been the present friend, especially if they're a single friend who's showing up for graduations, birthday parties, baby showers, baby, it's time for you to lean in, tap in, and give it back to them. No questions asked. With some fun, with some strength on it and a multiplication addition. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it looks like. Because a lot of times you can't verbalize because you don't know what to say. You know, you show up in community by just being there, but being more doing while you're there. If you know they like wings, or you don't know they like, you know what I'm saying, a Panera pasta, you know what I'm saying, they like pho, go get it and bring it by. You know what I'm saying? Time out. And that's probably just for not just anybody, but you know, not just someone who's been diagnosed, but just for anybody
who's going through.
Yes.
And be mindful, I will also say, of like, disconnect your investment from in their response, right? Yes. Like, it's not like if ally or whatever it is, you're showing up just because. Like, now I know you don't want to be taken advantage of and all of that stuff, but when somebody's going through, they're not in the presence of mind to display gratitude in the way that you think that it needs to be displayed. So, like, if you try to come over and they don't open the door, leave it on the porch. Or if you feel like, even if you feel like, I don't want to be a bother. Like, I get that, but that's why DoorDash works. I just want to make sure at the time they looking at their phone. Guaranteed they looking.
We looking.
We looking. We never had the strength to respond, but we see it, and it's like, listen, I know you got to eat. I ordered it. It should be there in a couple minutes, and then whatever happens. You just show yourself available, show yourself friendly, and by doing, because I used to say that a lot when my mom first died. Like, let me know what you need. Girl, I don't know. I just bring it. It ain't like it's going to go away. Just listen. If I don't need it, somebody in this house is going to need it. The kids going to eat it. Something, just drop it off. Or just like, and then I don't want to think. Take it off my plate to have to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because a lot of times the strong friend is 9 times out of 10 is the one in the most need. Because they're strong more often because they've learned that they have to take care of their stuff for themselves, and their issues don't really matter because they're so busy fixing everybody.
Speak
again,
but no. Okay, but that's what that will support look like, and also because when you are diagnosed with something that's so stigmatized, the first thing you fear is that you're going to lose community because stigma is what drives people away. So it's not, it's a fine line between that community and smothering. But at the same time, baby, you're gonna have to show up because I'm not gonna cry. You have people who fall. You have folks who fall away off the simple fact that you've been diagnosed with something that's been out of your control. I have a friend who I know walked out the door in the middle of the night, who I have not heard, seen. We went to a Kevin Hart concert. She came down from Chicago. She packed her bags and left in the middle of the night, driving from Memphis back to Chicago after the concert. I've never heard, seen, talked to her ever again. And baby, this is somebody who I thought was a soulmate, like one of them type of girls. Never to this day. You have folks that fall away. And you be like, over a diagnosis? You feel a way that I've been diagnosed. Like, what sense would it make for somebody to say, I have cancer and you run away? I have high blood pressure and you run away. It's still a chronic illness, but because it's so stigmatized, you fear. And at the beginning, they fall away quickly. So support looks like you being there, you showing up. If they say, I want to do something, if it's 17 deep, if the crew is the crew need to pull up. Because community is going to quickly shift and it's going to quickly look different because for some reason, everybody, and it ain't even happening to them. I ain't even asked you to do nothing. I'm just like, hey, sis, I want to share this with you because for me, it was like, I don't know what my body's going to look like. I don't know what these drugs are going to look like. I don't know what the next couple of years is going to look like physically. And I might not be able to hide it. And because we're in community, let me tell you, this is what's going on. Yeah. And so it's supporting, but it's also showing up.
Yeah.
Creating community, because you're going to lose it quickly.
Yeah. That was so good. That was so good. Dear, I love you.
I love you too, Britt. Dr.
I love
Brittany
you.
Loading.
Please. So as we get ready to wrap up, what is the one or couple, whatever, have I know, what do you want people to take away from this conversation as it relates to sex, relationships, and living with HIV and community?
Okay. I would say bakes, and going back to the topic, I would say first thing first, baby. Yes, you can have it. You can still, it's possible. It's not even as possible. It's like, if that's what you desire, you can have the desires of your heart. It's not lost on me dating. It's not lost on me, and Brittany may feel otherwise. And, having sex, it's not one of those things that it does. It's not that it's impossible. You don't have to lessen, like she said earlier, your values, your standards. It is indeed, if that's what you desire, it can happen. There are good people out there, like, even the young lady at the top of the episode who wrote that letter, who just need help to navigate. Don't you feel like for 1 minute that you're not desired, that you're not beautiful, that you're not, baby, I tell folks, I'm still a walking wish list. Okay.
A walking wish list. Come on, somebody.
Walking, living, breathing, existing, flourishing wish list. And you have to have that type of energy. And so that would be a caveat takeaway. If you someone who's been diagnosed, because I talk to so many women, so many Black women who like, Dia, how do you do it? I ain't been touched in 25 years. I haven't even had a hug. I haven't been on a date. Baby, I'm not built for it, and neither are you, because you want it. Why are we here? And it's the fear, but you can overcome that and push forward with the help, with the therapy, with prayer, with journaling. You can do it. Like, baby, you can. If that's what you can do, it, baby. Because I promise you, they still come to the yard. All right. Another place I would tell people
who like still bring all the boys to the yard.
Okay. It's not a biohazard milkshake. It ain't not, baby. It's still okay. It's a good, healthy, thick,
ma'am.
Little caramel, I'm just saying, because I had to bust that bubble up, like, because you hear it, when you hear, because someone's like, well, no, it ain't. Bust that bubble, bloop, real quick. No, it's not. Okay. She has references. Okay. Well, anyway. Okay.
We think you know it.
I'm gonna stop.
Biohazard milkshake is crazy, actually,
because that's what they be thinking. But no. And for the folks who may be someone who is a community with someone who is HIV positive, yes, it's not a death sentence, but there are a lot of times that your person will feel close to death. It's a dying away of who they were. You know what I'm saying? And so they are experiencing some sort of death. And be mindful of your language when you talk to them. I would say that's the takeaway. Be mindful of language. And if you don't know the language, Google is free. Find people, use the internet. TikTok, TikTok and YouTube University will help you. You'll know if it's negative, but you get the right rabbit hole, you'll be all right. It's too many resources for folks to be ignorant. But support. Don't be cliche. You know what I'm saying? Because I hate to be like, it's not a death sentence, baby. Do you know how many times I felt close to death? And just sickness, and but also, like I said, that person who they knew to be is no longer there. So be gentle, be kind, extend grace, So that would be my two takeaways. I'm sorry, biohazard,
That is hilarious to me. I'm trying to stay serious now, but that was funny to me. But we would not be remiss in the fact that you said there were so many days where you felt close to death.
Yeah.
But God, because we had 8 years. And death may have came fast, but it went past Joe Doe. And we thank him because of the blood of the lamb, huh? Yes, sir.
We applied the blood, the oil to the doorposts.
Yeah. And that death went right on by. Okay. Correct. And you, honey, and you will have many more Maybe 8 down, endless to go until the trumpet sound. Glory to God. Okay?
Correct.
Then we will be up there in glory, and then we will have new bodies and new spirits, and it'll all be brand new. We'll be up there with the angels singing, "Holy, holy, holy."
You so old, she's so churchy, y'all.
Oh, sorry, because I'm getting ready to go. That Lord God Almighty.
Don't you start.
Whew, I got to go. Oh, hold on. Hurry, we got to wrap this up because
She done tapped in.
when we all get to heaven. Ooh.
Shirley ain't playing this time. That's what she got right now.
What a day of rejoicing it will be.
I'm not going there with you. I can't.
We will sing and shout victory. This
Baby,
is very.
them songs mean so much. I know we're old, but baby, at this age, I understand why they rocked. Baby, I understand why they just laid there.
Listen, oh, what peace we often forfeit.
Good night. I'm about to hang up.
Oh, what needless pains we bear.
Because we refuse.
Oh, because we do not carry everything to God in prayer.
I'm about to say, because you know how I started, baby. I said, I don't even sing them lyrics no more. I just say them. I be like, "Who Jesus be a fence all around me."
All around me. Everything.
Baby,
Jesus, I want you to protect me
as
I travel
along the way.
I know you can.
You will.
I know you will.
Fight my battles.
If I just keep still.
Lord, be a fence.
Be a fence all around
me. Every day. Baby, that's a prayer. At this point, it's a declaration.
This is my prayer, Lord. Okay. That I pray each and every day that you will think my footsteps. I can't get that.
I'm not, because I've been knocked over this whole computer, and I'm just gonna sit here.
Around me every day. Come on, help me sing.
I'm not.
This has been Dairy Discussions, Sex and Living with HIV with the one and only Lydia Joyce. I am your girl, Brittany Broaddus-Smith, the #1 Christian sexologist and your favorite girl friend. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week. Bye.